broken sprinkler heads, broken backflow pipes, broken walkway lights, lost tools, damaged fences. This year has been the most challenging year so far, but the increase in accounts that I've picked up, over 15 accounts that I've gotten this year, means an influx of new customers that don't know how to be your clients, don't know how to be my clients, and I have to train them, condition them to what the rules of the road kind of are. This is how we operate, this is how I communicate, this is how things are going to be, especially when they already had other lawn care companies that may or may not have done a good job, or just have their own routines and their own ways of doing things. In most cases, people are happy with the increase in communication and consistency and all the different ways that I do business over the years, but they sometimes come from bad situations and they're very jaded about the whole situation, and very cautious and skeptical, and they want to just micromanage everything as if I don't know what I'm doing, or they just don't know because they don't know me. So it takes a little bit of time to really kind of condition them and communicate with them and build that trust with them, so that they can just know that I'm going to do the right thing. And at the end of the day, I'm not like whatever bad experiences that they had. I mean, mistakes are still going to happen, things are going to happen, but I'm going to make it right. I'm going to do whatever I can to eliminate those things as much as possible. But I mean, it has just been nonstop, especially in the spring, getting all of the new accounts, doing all the work, me being stressed out with all the additional hours that I was working and the workload and training new employees, and just a lot of growing pains in a short time period, as well as a lot of things going on in my personal life. Not necessarily bad things, just a lot of new things, like my daughter graduating from high school, and going to be graduating from high school, and then graduating from high school, and all these different things going on all with that, and her getting into college and getting prepared for college. All that stuff is just adds to it, and me wanting to be home and available for my family, but working nonstop to get all this stuff done and deal with all these customers' issues. That's just the nature of the business. That's just how it is, and things that you have to prepare yourself for and learn how to handle professionally. A lot of times I would get super upset and flustered and angry and just say, I'm going to get rid of this customer, but that's not necessarily the right way to handle it right away. You might want to just, you definitely want to evaluate everything first, because then you're not going to be able to grow that way. There's definitely a time when it's just not working out and you need to let people go, and sometimes they'll just let you go, but you need to make sure that you do proper things first. Make sure, do they have a valid argument? Did you actually damage something? So on and so forth. Did you drop the ball somewhere? Did you forget to communicate something important? Whatever it is, or those are things that you have to really think about, so that you can make sure that you are making the right decisions first before you just blindly make these decisions out of anger. That's the last thing you want to do. And when you're stressed out and have a lot going on, it's really hard to see clearly sometimes through all that. So fortunately, I was able to get through all that, not lose any customers, not upset too many customers. There was some that I had to have words with. But I was just having anything and everything. People were texting me, when I thought you were supposed to be here today, and it was like 12 in the afternoon, and I'm like, I am going to be there today, just later in the day. I'll be there before the end of the day. I have a lot of other things going on. It's not just about just coming to your property, and all these different things. And I would try to say it as nicely, as professionally as possible, but it would definitely get under my skin. And that's just one of so many different things. Like I said, we broke 3 irrigation pipes. I was one of them a long time ago, earlier in the season, and then 2 other employees broke 2 separate irrigation backflow pipes, so we had to deal with all that. I just basically took that money off their account, so that's less money that I made that month, but I made it right, and they were okay with that, and they're still my customer. Obviously, I had to retrain those employees, make sure that we don't make those mistakes again, so on and so forth. It can be discouraging because I've talked about it so many times, but accidents still happen. But I mean, 3 times that happened, and that's just what happens, right? That's part of the business. I get it. But we also got blamed for a ton of things from these new clients, like 2 different people blamed us for breaking the sprinkler heads, and before the sprinklers even, like, they didn't notice it until they got their sprinklers started up, their spring startup, and then the first couple times they had their sprinklers run, they noticed one of the sprinklers was leaking. Actually, I pointed out to one of them that there was a mud spot in their yard, and I said there was probably a pipe leaking somewhere underground, and they said thank you. At first they couldn't even find it. I told them exactly where it was. I mean, I emailed this to them after the fact because they weren't home, and they were like, where is it? And I told them exactly where it is, and they were like, oh, I can't find it. And I'm just thinking to myself, how can you not find it? It's a giant mud spot right where I told you. Like, it's not that hard. Your backyard is not that big. They're like, I'm gonna leave a flag by the grill. If the next time you're there, if you can flag it, if it's still muddy, we'd appreciate it. I'm like, okay. So I did that the next time, and then they went ahead and got their sprinkler company come out, take a look at it, and apparently they had to replace the sprinkler head, and she blamed it on me. She said, can you please be more careful? The sprinkler head was broken. They replaced the sprinkler head, but please be more careful. Or should I mark all of the sprinklers? There's several sprinklers in our backyard. Should I flag them all so that you know where they are, so that you don't break them? And I'm like, wow. So you're just gonna, like, I pointed out that you had this leak, and then you're gonna blame it on me? Like, fortunately, she didn't make me pay for it, and I was not going to pay for it unless there was definitive proof that we broke it. I mean, like, there's 2 ways. Only one major way, and the second way is a reach. But one major way of busting a sprinkler head, if it's stuck up and you just run it over and you chop it right off, and then water starts pouring everywhere. Like, clearly I would have noticed if that was the case. I would have heard it and felt it if I hit a sprinkler head like that. I would have, and most of the time, I've never hit a sprinkler head like that. And then when they're stuck up, I see them. Somehow I'm able to see them before because I'm just always paying attention. But I get it, accidents happen. That is something that I've seen plenty of people do by accident. But I normally see them sticking up, and then I push them back down on my foot. Or if they're stuck up, I just move around them and we trim it. No big deal. But so cutting it off, that would have broke it. I definitely didn't do that. And running it over to, like, bend it or, crack it down underneath because you put all that pressure on it. Again, I would have seen the sprinkler sticking up. That whole mud spot, I didn't even see a sprinkler head. That means the sprinkler head was, like, shoved down below the dirt. Probably hadn't popped up in a good amount of time because her lawn was so tall and thick that it was overgrown. So something happened underground, and I really can't imagine. I mean, there's always a possibility, but I can't imagine I ran that sprinkler head over and the giant tire surface area didn't just blend all that, balance all that weight out. I can't imagine that there was that much, enough pressure directly on the sprinkler head in such a way that somehow it cracked something on it that made it leak. That's never happened before. Again, first time for everything, right? So I just kind of explained that to her in the nicest way possible because she just kept going on and on every single week about, do I need to mark the sprinkler heads? One time she's like, oh, the sprinklers were all running. They're all good. They all work. So I know they're great. So please be careful. I'll mark them if you need to. And I'm just like, wow, that's not necessary. And that's one of the customers I thought to myself, I really don't want to deal with this every week. If you're going to be like this, like, I'm just going to let you go. But things kind of cooled off after that. But she also blamed us for banging up her metal fence, and I was looking at it. I bought black spray paint, and I touched up some areas that we could have done with the trimmer, like little marks, but there's like giant holes and dents in her fence that she was trying to blame us for. I'm like, there's no way on God's green earth that a trimmer line could ever do that kind of damage. Well, I don't know how it could have happened, how else it could have happened. I'm like, were you the original owners of this house? No, someone else owned it before us for like a year and a half. Well, do you think maybe that something happened there and you just didn't notice until we come along and you hear us hitting the fence every now and again trying to get all the grass for you and make a nice clean look? and all of a sudden you go and you look like, oh my gosh, they must be destroying the fence, because hitting a hollow metal fence with the tiniest bit makes a super loud sound. I mean, we're not plowing into your fence. I showed her the little dings here and there on the bottom, all the little nicks, you know, that accidentally happen when we try and get close enough, you know. But I spray painted all the stuff, said, here, I'm gonna spray paint it all, but I'm telling you that I'll take credit for this stuff, but this crazy stuff, there's no way that a trimmer could have done that. And she was all like, oh, well, can you please be careful? And I'm just like, we are careful. And again, we moved on past that. So this was definitely a PETA customer, like, really? But she's still my customer. I haven't even seen her. Maybe she's on summer vacation or something, who knows, but I haven't seen her, talk to her in weeks, so everything seems fine with that. But I mean, you know, one street of 4 new clients, all they want to do is complain about all kinds of stuff. I kid you not, 3 of them in that 4 on the same street. One of them asked me to cut their lawn shorter, another one asked me to cut it longer, another one asked me if I can skip their yard every other week, just go to bi-weekly, because they don't need their lawn to be cut that often. And I cut it on 5 inches every week and plow off at least this much when I was cutting it first in the beginning of the spring, and they wanted me to go bi-weekly. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go bi-weekly, because I'm cutting too much grass off at one time. I'm going to have to increase your charge and increase your rate, and that's not going to be healthy for the grass anyway. And she was like, that's fine, just keep it weekly. The person that said, can you cut it shorter? I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but you know, I already cut it at 4 inches, and if I go too much shorter, when it starts getting hot, it's going to burn out your lawn. And the person asked me if I can cut it taller. I also cut it 4 inches, and they say my lawn's going to get burnt out if you cut it any shorter. And I'm like, I'm cutting it at 4 inches. That's pretty high for a tall fescue, but I'll cut it higher. So these are all the things that you will have to deal with if you're not already dealing with them when you grow and you take on new clients. And you know, you can only cherry pick so much. When you want to grow, you need to start expecting certain things. You need to be prepared for that growth. Different equipment, more equipment, increased staffing. If you've never had employees, you're gonna have to go through all that. All these kind of things is stuff that you have to prepare yourself, if that's what you want. If you're just going to be solo and you just want, you know, 30 to 40 customers, and you can just hand pick them and have the best of the best, charge them super high, and have them loyal, and you have a great time. But again, you're going to always reach your limit. There's always going to be a ceiling. So if you want to make a certain amount, and you want to do a certain amount of things, and you want to have crews and have a bigger company, then these are the things that you're going to have to deal with. And you're going to have to make sure you keep a good head. Keep that mental toughness and make sure that you don't lose it, because even at one point my wife was like, you're worrying me. I'm afraid you're gonna like go off on someone and you're gonna regret it. And you know, she was absolutely right, because there were some days I felt that way, and I really had to bite my tongue, and I would text somebody and then I would delete it, and then, like, you know, gather my composure and retext again a much better version, or re-email someone. I would type all my frustrations out, fortunately not send it, delete it all, and then take a deep breath and retype it again, and whatever. I did all kinds of different things. Have my wife reread something, you know, does this sound, you know, too much of a jerk or whatever, like whatever I had to do to get through it. So the bottom line is, it was a whole lot at one time, and I don't advise that. I didn't really do that on purpose. It just was a storm of so many things going on. But I got through it, and I just wanted to share it with you guys, because you may be going through it now, or you went through it, and maybe can offer some advice in the comments below, some ways that you got through it and how to prevent it in the future, some best practices, or you might potentially go through it in the future, and you can maybe learn from my experiences in any comments below. Again, it's all about sharing. This is an awesome community. It's all about growing together. We're more powerful together than we are apart. So that's why I try to put this content out there, because I enjoy sharing, and I want to help everyone else grow. So thank you guys for watching and following along. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and remember to always keep trying new things and be a rookie for life. Peace. I said there's probably a pipe leak.